This is how I built my first sugar rocket. First, we cut a piece of PVC pipe that will act as a casing for the rocket. Next, we inserted a nozzle that we cut out of sheet aluminium. It was slightly larger than the diameter of the casing, so that it fits tight. It was hammered down using a washer. Next, we marked the part of the outer casing that was just below the nozzle. Next, we poked holes on each of the 4 axes along the mark, which would act as a reference for drilling later. Next, we drilled where we had poked holes for reference. Then we inserted a thin and short piece of aluminium wire into each of the holes. Now it was time to make the fins. We first marked the following design on a thin piece of sheet aluminium. Next, we cut the aluminium along the markings. Then we bent the upper part of the fin by 90 degrees. Then we gave the bent part a curve along the casing of the rocket where it would stick to later. We made 4 of such fins. Then we put a thick piece of paper in the bottom of the nozzle. Now it was time to put the fuel. Our fuel was 65% potassium nitrate and 35% sugar by weight. We put the fuel in the rocket. Then the fuel needed compaction, so we hammered it down, using a stick about the same size as the casing. Then we drilled a hole through the fuel which was about the same size as the nozzle. The nozzle now looked like this. Now we applied glue to the lower part of the rocket in order to stick the fins. Then we sticked fins to the part where we had applied glue. It was important to make sure that they were perpendicular to each other. Then we drilled a hole through each of the fins and inserted a wire through them for structural strength. Then we tied up both the ends of the wire and bent it down. It looked something like this. Then we cut out a nose cone from thermocol. Then we put an aluminium cap on the upper part of the rocket and inserted the nose cone above it. Then we made the position of the nose cone firm using sellotape. Then we inserted a fuse inside the rocket and made sure it stays. Now we were ready to launch the rocket. Now I launched the rocket from my house as there's a lot of open space in my neighborhood.